there's like an expectation kind of where like Trinity films, like the third movie is almost never going to live up to the first and second one. And this one, I think, is even better than 2 and 1. John Wick 3 was a totally insane movie. This, I think, is probably one of the best action films ever made. And it's like one of the best action films in terms of like, there are some weird action films from like Korea and Taiwan. And like The Raid, if anyone's ever seen The Raid, is an unbelievably crazy action film that's just super over the top. And this is like that. This is like a super over the top, basically almost action comedy. And one of the things that I love about what is happening in Hollywood right now with action movies is we're seeing the rise of like ridiculous action movies. They're movies that don't take themselves seriously. So another one of these that I'm really excited for is the Fast and the Furious movie, where like The Rock curls a helicopter and they go all medieval and they get like these I don't know, like ancient medieval weaponry so they can fight this like, I don't know, like genetically engineered super soldier. It's ridiculous, right? Jason Statham and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, like just amazing film. And this is like on that same tier of ridiculousness, but with such good action and such good pacing and such good choreography and such good cinematography that it's actually one of the most enjoyable experiences in a theater that I've ever been in. And I'm so glad I saw it. Oh man. So from the very moment that you get into this movie, you are immediately like thrust into just total craziness. The way the fights work and the way the fights are choreographed are insanely brutal, super quick, and just savage. Like it essentially starts off with the story of like, I'm not saying anything here that would be like a spoiler or whatever, because you see it in John Wick 2, right? So in John Wick 2, the story starts off where he has like, there's this international group of assassins called the High Table that everybody is associated with in some way. It seems like everybody's associated with them in some way. And they have locations. So one of the locations in New York is called the Continental, where John is friends with the owner, Winston. And this is John Wick 2. John stays at the Continental to like handle business and like go do assassination stuff like that. He has this like kind of like mysterious history that you don't know a lot about, and we found out a bit about it from the from this movie. Now it filled it in a bit. That was really cool. You kind of found out a little bit about John Wick's history. So the Continental is like this place where there are these rules where like one of the big rules in the Continental is you can't assassinate anybody on the Continental grounds. And he does this. He has to assassinate someone on the Continental grounds in John Wick 2. So John Wick 3 starts as the continuation of this. Essentially the entire assassin society, which is like thousands of people, has ordained that John Wick has to die. But this guy is the best assassin ever known. So it's going to be like the movie starts off with the expectation it's going to be John Wick versus the entirety of New York City. And that's exactly what it is. It's not, from the moment the movie starts, it just takes you into the most insane, like action-packed stuff that I've almost ever seen. And it's a great story with a continuation from John Wick 1 and 2. It's insanely good how good the characters are. Both the people that you meet on John Wick's story, the characters that return, the new characters like Eva Green, and the villains like him, right? Like he's like some of the coolest villains ever. And the whole movie doesn't take itself completely seriously and has this sort of pacing element where even though you're going through these like crazy fight scenes and everything is just like totally insane, it still manages to keep itself relative. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you're brought back. You're not like taken. The movie's too crazy. I guess I'd start there. It's too crazy to just be an action film. If the pacing wasn't right and there wasn't this like comedy aspect of it, it would just be too insane. Like, and it is. It's too crazy. Like, But what will happen is like he'll take on there'll be some insane fight scene, and then you'll have like the right moments of like tone down to bring you back to normal. The martial arts in this film are top tier. It's not just like gun kata basically. It's just absolutely top tier stuff like the whole way through. Man, some of these scenes, like that knife throwing scene right there, was just ridiculous. This character, Halle Berry, is great in this film. There wasn't a single person that I didn't enjoy. I really loved John Wick 1, and I loved John Wick 2 also. Even more. There's like an expectation kind of where like Trinity films, like the third movie is almost never going to live up to the first and second one. And this one, I think, is even better than 2 and 1. And 2 and 1 were great. So good, this movie. The whole thing is insane. So this, like going back to this like rise of action films that just don't take themselves seriously, I love so much that this is a thing in Hollywood now. It's like we don't, there's in a world where there are so many non-unique films, I feel like action movies are kind of like one of the last bastions of truly enjoyable films that you can like turn your brain off for, kind of. Because like even once you get into like Marvel and the continuation of it, the movie takes itself like too seriously. Like Endgame takes itself too seriously. And even though you have like the Marvel comedy, you know, like the overarching story is too serious. But in John Wick, like the movie sets you up for just total ridiculousness and absurdity. And then it takes you there the whole way through while also continuing a story that is awesome. I can't recommend this movie enough. It's such a good movie. It's a movie where like you'll have a moment where you'll be like, oh my God, that just happened. And then you'll laugh. And then you'll go back to like, oh my God, that just happened. And also the amount of training that these characters must have, like these actors must have done to go through this was, I can't even imagine it. There's like these whole YouTube videos of him just like, and Halle Berry, I guess. Yeah, that's crazy. Of just like going through drills. Because the choreography in this is great. It's so good. And I don't get the feeling that this is Keanu Reeves. I get the feeling that this is like a trained assassin. Like if you told me that Keanu Reeves was a absurdly trained assassin working for the Illuminati, I would completely buy this story. And like this YouTube video kind of makes it seem like that's the case. like it's just insane how much training and like choreography they must have gone through to prepare the actors for this movie. And Halle Berry also is fantastic too. One of the first like instances where I saw like a actress like really show up and not just be like a supporting character, but also just be in like an amazing addition to the cast. It was really good. If I had to say anything that like about the movie that I think, some of the time the action was so insane that it was hard to keep up. Like there were a couple of scenes in the movie where the action was just so unreal that I almost couldn't deal with it. It's like there's continuous scenes of gunfights that are like what feels like 20 minutes long. One particular scene that I think might be like one of the longest choreographed gunfights in a movie. And the amount of downtime in the movie is pretty little, and even the downtime is intense. But I like it because the movie doesn't give you a break. Because it knows what it's like. John Wick 3 is a movie that knows what it's signing up for. It's a movie that like, okay, we're not trying to be anything different than a completely ridiculous, over the top action film, and that's great. It's a movie that completely understands its own identity. And I think we need more of that in Hollywood. That is another reason why I'm really excited about Fast and Furious with Jason Statham and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I think that is going to be a fantastic movie on exactly the same level that this was. So yeah, if you've never seen John Wick 1 and 2, you can go see 3 and have an incredible experience. If you're a fan of the first two, you'll have an even better experience because there's a lot of this film that comes together from the first two. Pretty great overall. The mutual respect of martial arts in the end was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. Yeah, particularly those characters. This character is legit one of the best villains ever. He's so well done. And the characters that he has with him are so well done too. Yeah. God, it's so good. I also love how they do this. They carry the same theme in John Wick 1 and 2 with the text. Let's say they say something in like Japanese. They don't just put it in like white small subtitles. They put it like across the screen and they stylize the entire translation and they do it in time with the words. So if they say like it's John Wick, then like John Wick appears in like all blue or something. And it's it adds a lot to the element. There was a movie that did this. I think there's a movie that started doing this where if you send a text to someone in the movie, the text pops up on the screen. I want to say it was like The Social Network or something, but I have no idea if it was The Social Network. But whatever it was really good. It was like you would send a text. Oh yeah, House of Cards. That was a really good one. House of Cards was where like you would see a stylized text symbol come up because somebody texted the actor on their phone, right? The character on their phone. And John Wick has like this it's just such an insanely good directed movie. Everything is so good. If you're remotely a fan of action films, this is the best action film I've seen since The Raid. Overall, highly recommended. Super good.